The end of Berserk. With Berserk still not having a chapter this month, and I'm sure we're not going to get one in the next one, this gives us time to theorize and predict for the ending of this great manga. There's probably many different ways of the end of Berserk to go out, but I'll choose one way for this video and explain why I think it. Also, in this video I'll be talking about the things we might be getting before the ending, like certain plot points being revealed and answered, as well as explaining how the defeat of Griffith will happen and what the outcome of that will have for the future of the story. Now, right before I get into this video, subscribe if you haven't, hit the like button, turn on bell notifications, and go ahead and follow my Twitter down below. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Now obviously the first things we have to talk about when discussing Berserk's ending will be the conclusion of Guts, Griffith and Casca, and how all three of them will come to a close in the story. I already know Guts and Griffith are the two most important characters though, but I think Casca will play a huge role in Griffith's downfall. The reason I think this is because of her connection to the Moonlight Boy, and if you don't understand, then I'll explain who the Moonlight Boy is, where he is at the moment, and what he's going to do in the story for now. We first saw the Moonlight Boy on a night of the full moon, and the first appearance of him was when he was staring right at Casca in a way that looked like he actually knew her. In a way, he actually does, because the Moonlight Boy was the demon child seen at the end of the Golden Age arc and in the majority of the Conviction arc. The demon child was always helping Casca, while also he was able to guide Guts to Casca's location whenever she was in trouble. So of course this child does have some kind of connection to both Guts and Casca. And he does. The Moonlight Boy is the child of Guts and Casca, but they got infected by Femto when that event had happened in the eclipse. Since they got infected by a God-Hand member, the demon child was able to do many things no ordinary child would do, and his transformation into the Moonlight Boy would make sense from this. In the Conviction arc, we had seen the Egg of the Perfect World get ready to reincarnate Griffith back into the mortal world, and as this was happening, the demon child got wrapped up into this, becoming the vessel for Griffith's new body. Basically, Griffith and the Moonlight Child share the same body, with Moonlight Boy being the son of Guts and Griffith, and only appearing when the full moon is out. Griffith is aware of this since we had seen this in a panel of him thinking this, and this right here really indicates the demon child and Griffith harboring the same body. Now where the Moonlight Boy is at the moment is something we saw the last chapter, which finished with a cliffhanger. We had seen the Moonlight Boy show up in Elfheim, whilst Guts is the first person to see him. I don't really know how this confrontation is going to go, but I see it will be very important for the upcoming chapters, and with Casca regaining her true state of mind back, I can see her maybe being able to understand the Moonlight Boy much better than before, since they both are really connected to each other, as we had seen him protect Casca on multiple occasions. Now that I've finished explaining the Moonlight Boy, you guys have been probably thinking that he indeed does have a significant amount of importance to Griffith's possible downfall in the ending of Berserk. Because the Moonlight Boy is basically Griffith's weakness. They share the same body, and Moonlight Boy does have some kind of control when Griffith is in command of the body, as we had saw Griffith protect Casca instinctively due to his other side reacting to that. With this in mind, the story would be able to use the Moonlight Boy as a weakness for Griffith's physical body and not some plot convenience move for the defeat of the antagonist. I'm sure on Elfheim both Guts and Casca will gain knowledge of who the Moonlight Boy actually is, why he had just arrived, and I'm sure it would be really hard on Guts with his whole vengeance thing. But I'm sure Guts won't go through with it, because if he does, his whole development just diminishes. I wonder how Skull Knight would react to all of this, as well as he is on Elfheim. Knowing that a God-Hand member actually shares a body with a child, I'm curious to know if he would actually try to kill the Moonlight Boy, which could possibly kill Griffith/Femto as well. Guts has that same exact option. If he still cares about killing Griffith and is determined enough to do anything to execute him, would he kill his own son just for that to happen? Or would he try to find another way, like removing Griffith and Moonlight Boy's connection first before going for the killing blow? I just know that Guts would hesitate to go and kill Griffith if he finds out his son is connected to him, as we saw how Guts reacted when he first killed a child, and that didn't sit well with him. But Griffith's defeat by killing the Moonlight Boy is the most reasonable way of taking down someone who was a god compared to Guts, without Miura pulling something out of nowhere like Guts getting some OP ability against God-Hand members. If Berserk does end up with Guts killing his son to put an end to Griffith, it would be a really emotional close to the story, and both Guts and Casca would get hit really hard from that result. The apostles that are under the command of Griffith might run rampage if that does happen, and what happens to Falconia after that will be a mystery for now. Now for the conclusion of the rest of the God Hand and Skull Knight is a discussion that would be hard to talk about without more insight on their future activities. But what is not hard to talk about is what we might get from their backstories in the future chapters, specifically Skull Knights and Voids. All we really need is Skull Knights and Voids backstories anyway, if I have to be honest. I don't really care about the rest of the God Hand as they're not really too interesting. But for now, let's talk about the past of Berserk. We have gotten little details and hints of Skull Knight's and Midland's story, while we can also work out Void's connection to him with those details as well. I think we all know now that Skull Knight was the past king of Midland, King Gazarick, while I myself think that the sage that was imprisoned by Gazarick in the Tower of Conviction was indeed Void. Void had sacrificed the past empire that Midland was and became a God Hand member. Also, I'm pretty sure Void wasn't the first God Hand member, as we had saw in chapter 362 that there was a whole nother bunch of God Hand members beside him. The panels we got from 362 was pretty much evidence of what Gazarick had seen when his empire was being sacrificed, with him witnessing the eclipse and everyone he cared for dying left and right, just like what had happened to Guts. Some more hints on the past empire being sacrificed would be that there was a story Judo had talked about, and what was said in it was that 5 angels were sent down to Midland and the city was erased without a trace in the span of only one night. The 5 angels obviously indicate the God Hand, and the erasing without a trace part would be the eclipse being involved. If more chapters do come out for Berserk, I really hope we get to see chapters on Skull Knight's whole backstory or a whole arc based on it, which would go into his past character of a king and his relationship with the sage that would evolve into Void, also diving into Void's character a lot more and his fascination with causality. All in all, what I hope that the Berserk ending would have is that Guts and Casca would have a happy ending from all of the dark and just brutal stuff that we had seen in the past. And I hope all of us, and I mean all of us Berserk fans, think that Guts would not get a dark ending. He's been through so much, and I just hope he just settles down in the end and lives a normal life without all of the apostle and monster stuff in the end. So I think I've talked about everything I wanted to talk about for this video. I know I haven't talked about the rest of the cast, but I might save that for a later video when we get some more chapters, and I guess that video won't come for a very long time, sadly. But I hope you enjoyed this nevertheless, with me talking about the ending of Berserk for our main characters. And if you did enjoy, comment down below some of your own theories you have for the ending. So like always, subscribe if you're new, hit the like button, turn on bell notifications, and go ahead and follow my Twitter down below. It's been Endless Requiem, peace.